Alright, let's see what we are doing today. This could be a scary one. How's it going, YouTube? I'm Landon Dowlatsingh, because you guys really don't want me to sing. I'm pretty bad. And you know what? Welcome back to another Most Amazing Top 10 video. Before we get started, I want to remind you guys to hit that bell notification after you have subscribed to this channel, so you guys will always know when we come out with new videos. We've been producing 2 videos a day for a very long time. And in the description below, tell us what top 10 videos you guys would like to see next. Alright, so hostels is an inexpensive alternative to a hotel or a motel that offers affordable food and lodging for a group of people. A lot of students, workers, or travelers take advantage of hostels because it is generally very cheap to just rent a bed in many parts of the world. However, there have been a ton of people who have had some creepy and scary things happen to them while they stayed in a hostel. So it's time to jump into this one, whether we like it or not. And this is the top 10 scary hostel stories. Starting us off like we always do, in at number 10, with the teen who set herself on fire inside of a hostel. A 16-year-old girl set herself on fire in a hostel room back on October 18, 2016. According to the police investigation, the young girl set herself on fire because she didn't want to stay in the hostel. I mean, I don't want to sound too obvious, but if I don't want to stay in a hostel, I would have just simply packed my bags and I would have just left. I would have went down to reception, checked my ass out of there, and gone to wherever I wanted to go. Well, she didn't leave a suicide note or anything in her room, and there were traces of liquid that was discovered near her body. Apparently, the girl called her mother just minutes before committing suicide, and she wanted her permission to leave the hostel, but she refused. This is such a tragic case, and I wonder what was so horrible about this hostel. Obviously, something must have happened to her in this place, or else she wouldn't have committed suicide. And her mother probably should have been more understanding, or at least tried to listen to her daughter. This makes me never want to stay in a hostel. Peeping Tom comes onto this list at number 9. Back on October 13, 2016, a man staying at a student hostel in Singapore was caught taking videos of male students while they showered. I mean, talk about huge invasion of privacy. Why can't communal showers have proper stalls indoors so no one can peep in the next stall over? So after he was arrested, police found about 70 videos of young men showering on Peeping Tom's phone. He would hide in a shower cubicle and film their entire shower. Apparently, before he was caught, he was desperately trying to delete all of the videos, but the students were smart and checked the recently deleted folder and found the 66 incriminating video clips. The creeper begged them to not turn him in, but obviously they called the police. This Peeping Tom is way too creepy to let him get away with this, and sadly this type of creeping has been happening more and more in hostels and public bathrooms. Collapsing in at number 8, we have the roof that almost crushed 190 people. A girls' hostel at the University of Science in Malaysia was forced to evacuate 190 students when the roof began to collapse, and this took place back in 2016. I know a lot of students wish that their school burned down in order to get out of classes, but I'm sure these students at the time were thinking quite the opposite. A week before this incident happened, the university got a complaint from a student about a leak in her 4th floor room at the hostel. When the school investigated it, they saw that they were being negligent and that the roof wasn't properly supported at all. So before they would have 190 wrongful death lawsuits on their hands, they tried to get everyone out of the building before the roof collapsed and crushed everyone inside. Luckily, no one got hurt, but something tells me that the school is not out of the woods yet. I'm sure they had to pay a bunch of money to repair the roofs, and I'm sure they had to settle with the kids' families. Spy camera creeps onto this list at number 7. CCTV cameras were found hiding in the ceiling inside of a bathroom of a girls' hostel in India. I mean, this is pretty messed up. How long have these cameras been hiding in there? Students who lived in the hostels noticed these cameras when they saw a small red blinking light coming from the ceiling. When they went to go check things out, they were absolutely shocked when they found a professional CCTV camera installed in their bathroom. I mean, is this real life right now? The girls began screaming and immediately broke the cameras. They reported it to the hostel's management, which led to absolute chaos. These girls must have felt so violated and grossed out. If I was them, I would definitely find a new hostel and I would check every nook and every cranny for a hidden camera, because there's just way too many pervs. They're gonna be affected by this for the rest of their lives. I would never trust a hostel, Airbnb, or hotel ever again after, I've experienced this. I wouldn't even want to use a public restroom. The world's most haunted hostel scares us in at number 6. Have you ever wanted to see if you can survive the night in one of the most haunted hostels in the world? No? Well, me neither. But for some people, this sounds really appealing. Why? I don't know. In Ottawa, Canada, Canada, there is an old jail that has been half converted into a hostel that comes equipped with beds, linen, ghostly screams, sleep paralysis, and unwanted visitors standing at the edge of your bed. And you know what, my wife actually stayed here years ago, and she said that some creepy things happened to her. We just won't talk about it on this video. This prison was supposed to be a safe housing for criminals in the area, but instead, men and women were mistreated here. And they were even hung in the prison. So now, it is considered to be one of the most haunted places in Canada. So the next time you guys are in Ottawa, Canada, and you're looking for a good scare, you should stay there because you'll most likely be staying in an old prison cell that gets locked at night, and maybe if you're unlucky, you will have an uninvited ghost stay with you in your cell. Would you guys actually consider staying there? And if it was me, no, I would just go to the Hilton. 4 girls kidnapped comes onto this list at number 5. 2013, 4 girls aged between 12 and 15 years old were literally dragged out of their hostel by 25 boys who were armed with knives and other deadly weapons. The boys were extremely violent as they barged through the hostel doors. They picked up the 4 girls and dragged them outside of the hostel. Witnesses said that the boys were extremely drunk and they took the girls to a deserted place. The poor girls were raped for 2 hours before they were able to run away. Seriously though, what is up with the security at hostels? I understand that there's supposed to be cheaper alternatives for travelers, but come on, have a security guard or two. This is exactly why hostels have a bad reputation. If they had a stronger security measures put in place, a lot of these crimes wouldn't happen. I mean, it's not rocket science here, is it? The police were unable to identify the 25 boys who were involved in the crimes, so sadly they will probably get away with it, and they might even do this to another hostel. A woman stabbed to death outside of an Australian hostel comes onto our list at number 4. Well, this is probably the worst thing that can happen to you when you're staying at a hostel, but actually Australian hostels have a very bad reputation. A British woman was killed after she was brutally stabbed at a hostel by a man who shouted Allahu Akbar just before the vicious attack. After he killed the British woman, he attempted to murder 2 more people at the Sydney hostel. One of the men who was killed later died as a result of his injuries. The Frenchman was arrested at the scene and he was immediately taken into custody. Originally, the police thought that he was an extremist, but the police later discovered that the attacker was in love with the woman who he murdered and he might have been insane. I think it's safe to say that he was mentally insane if he followed her all the way to Australia and attacked her with a knife until she died. Number 3 brings us to a terrible hostel owner who raped 14 girls. A hostel in Likhabai, India, 14 young girls were raped by the owner of the hostel over the course of 3 years. This hostel was affiliated with a nearby private school, so most of the students were living in this hostel. The assaults went on for such a long period of time because the owner threatened the girls with a worse violence if they reported him, and even the school's principal refused to believe what was happening, and he even attempted to cover up the truth. So these girls were ages between 4 and 13 years old, and for some of these girls, they even tried scaling the wall of the school to report the owner to the police. So that's how desperate they were. The hostel owner was eventually arrested for sexual abuse and molestation after the girls reported him to the police. And oh yeah, did I mention that he is also a teacher in the school? That's pretty messed up. He took advantage of these young girls who trusted him. I'm just glad that they were able to report him, and now he's getting exactly what he deserves. A grenade thrown at a German hostel lands itself at number 2. Unidentified attackers threw a live hand grenade at a hostel that was a housing asylum seeking people in southwestern Germany. The grenade was found at night near a building that had 170 people sleeping inside of it. The pin had been pulled out, but thankfully the grenade failed to detonate. These people are so damn lucky to be alive, but I'd be too terrified to stay another night. What if they come back? And imagine being one of those who found the grenade. This was clearly an act of extreme hate and violence, but taken to a whole other level. In 2015, there was 1,005 attacks on refugee homes in Germany, which is absolutely insane. Some of the people at the hostel were evacuated while the bomb squad worked on removing the live grenade. There are millions of people who have been seeking asylum in Germany, and a lot of them come from Syria. It's just extremely sad that they come from a war-torn country and they just can't feel safe, anywhere they go. A cannibal bites his way into number 1. And no, I'm not talking about Hannibal Lecter. This is a real-life cannibal who ate the flesh off of a young woman. I mean, gross. At a hostel for the homeless in Argoat, South Wales, Australia, Matthew Williams met a woman and he asked her to come back to his hostel, and then he killed her before before eating one of her eyeballs and parts of her face. Well, her first mistake was agreeing to go back to his hostel. Like seriously, you should never go back to someone's hostel you just met them, especially if they're super creepy. The hostel owner walked in on the horrific incidents and she saw the crazy man killing this woman. He was covered in blood and he mutilated the victim's body so badly that you can barely tell that it was a woman. The man actually died after he was tasered by the police with 50,000 volts of electricity. It was believed that this guy was high on a cocktail of seriously heavy drugs because he had black eyes when she saw him. I don't know about you, but that was the demon. Well, there you guys have it. You've made it to the end of this video. I just want to say thank you guys so much for always tuning back in for most amazing top 10 videos. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys all in the next one.